Welcome to Trending Today podcast. Everything you missed today in 15 minutes. Wow, week 13, huh? The NFL playoff picture is, well, it's a real nail-biter this year.
It is absolutely insane. So many teams still in contention, both AFC and NFC. It's making for some must-watch football.
Seriously, look at the AFC Kansas City. Even with that slip-up, they're still top dogs in the West at 11-1. Clinched a playoff berth already. Amazing.
Yeah, but Buffalo's breathing down their necks at 10-2. AFC East champs, that upcoming Chiefs-Bills game? Huge.
Winner takes all, basically. Could lock up that top seed, the bye week. Crucial. Then you've got Pittsburgh 9-3, solidly in control of the AFC North. No question.
And don't forget the Texans. 8-5? Who saw that coming? AFC South leaders. What a season they're having. But that wild card race, oof.
Talk about a scrum. Chargers, Ravens, both at 8-4 and 5, right? Neck and neck. And Denver, 8-5. What a comeback story. Every game is a must-win for them now.
Absolutely. And remember those tiebreakers? Head-to-head divisional records, it's going to get complicated fast. Then switch over to the NFC, and it's a different beast altogether.
Totally. Detroit, dominating. 11-1 in the NFC North. Who would have thought? The Eagles, though, holding strong at 10-2 in the East. But that division is still up for grabs, you know?
Oh, for sure. And Seattle quietly making their move at 7-5 in the West. Don't count them out. And Atlanta still hanging on to the South at 6-6. But the wild card race, even crazier than the AFC.
Vikings, Packers, 10-2, 9-3, respectively. Major threats. And then the Commanders at 8-5, they're right in the thick of it. But you can't just dismiss Tampa Bay, Arizona, or the Rams, all at 6-6. Still very much alive.
Right? Every single game. Now think about a hypothetical playoff bracket, just for fun.
Okay, so AFC, Chiefs with the bye, then Bills, Steelers, Texans. Wildcard round? Bills versus Broncos, maybe? Steelers versus Ravens, Texans versus Chargers. Something like that?
Could be. And the NFC? Lions with the bye, Eagles versus Commanders, Seahawks versus Packers, Falcons versus Vikings. Pure speculation, of course.
So, wow, hypothetical playoff brackets are fun, but man, the real race is so tight this year, right? Let's dive into these updated standings.
Absolutely. And we've got some fresh numbers to crunch. Starting with the AFC, Kansas City still king of the hill, even with that hiccup. 11-1, playoff berth, locked in.
Yeah, impressive. But Buffalo, 10-2, AFC East champs. They're not letting KC get too comfortable.
Not at all. That Chiefs-Bills rematch is looming large. Winner takes all, essentially. Top seed, the bye week, home field advantage throughout. Everything's on the line.
Huge implications. And then there's Pittsburgh, 9-3. Pretty much own the AFC North, no?
Yeah, they're sitting pretty. But the Texans at 8-5 lead on the AFC South? That's a surprise. A very pleasant surprise for Houston fans.
Total underdog story. But the wildcard situation, yikes. It's a mess. Chargers, Ravens, both at 8-4. Denver back from the dead at 8-5. Talk about a comeback. Every game is do or die for those teams. And don't forget Denver, 8-5. What a comeback story. Every game is a must-win for them now. It's like sudden death every Sunday.
Totally. The pressure's on. Then you've got those tiebreakers. Head-to-head, divisional records. It's going to be a nightmare to sort out. A beautiful nightmare, mind you, but a nightmare nonetheless.
Oh, absolutely. And switching over to the NFC, totally different landscape.
Right? Detroit, 11-1, dominating the North. Who saw that coming? I mean, seriously.
I know, right? And the Eagles holding steady at 10-2 in the East, but that division is still anyone's game, right?
Oh, for sure. And don't forget about Seattle, quietly making their move at 7-5 in the West. They're always dangerous.
Always. Then there's Atlanta, clinging to the South at 6-6. But that wild card race? Even crazier than the EFC's.
Vikings, Packers, 10-2, 9-3, respectively. Lurking. Waiting. And then the Commanders at 8-5, right in the thick of it.
But you can't count out Tampa Bay, Arizona, or even the Rams, right? All sitting at 6-6. Still a chance, however slim.
Mathematically, yes, they're still in it. It's a long shot, sure, but stranger things have happened. And speaking of long shots, Denver, 8-5. What a turnaround.
Oh, yeah. Totally forgot about them. From the brink to, well, not quite contenders, but definitely in the conversation. Every game is a must-win for them now. It's sudden death every Sunday.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so exciting. The pressure is on. And don't forget about tiebreakers. Head-to-head divisional records. It's going to be a nightmare to sort out. A beautiful nightmare, mind you, but a nightmare nonetheless. So much to consider.
Totally agree. Okay, so NFC time. Detroit 11-1, dominating the North. Who saw that coming? Seriously.
I know, right? Amazing season. The Lions are roaring. And the Eagles, 10-2 in the East, holding strong, but that division is still wide open, wouldn't you say?
Okay, so NFC West, Seattle at 7-5. They're looking pretty good, right? Making a move.
Yeah, definitely. Quietly sneaking up the standings. And Atlanta, 6-6, still hanging on to that NFC South lead. It's anyone's game at this point.
Totally. I mean, the NFC in general, it's wide open. Wild card race, forget about it. It's a bloodbath.
Sound effect. Short, sharp sound transition. Oh, tell me about it. Vikings, Packers, 10-2, 9-3. They're scary good. And the Commanders, 8-5. Who had them pegged for a playoff run? Seriously.
Right? I mean, 8-5. They're in the thick of it. It's crazy.
Absolutely nuts. So we've got Seattle making their move, Atlanta barely holding on, and then this wild card melee with the Vikings, Packers, and Commanders. It's going to be an exciting finish to the season, that's for sure.
Right? Tampa Bay, Arizona, the Rams, all 6-6. Still a chance, however slim. You just never know.
Exactly. It's the NFL. Anything can happen, and that's what makes it so exciting, right? The unpredictability, the drama.
Totally. So you were saying something about a hypothetical playoff bracket?
Yeah. Just for fun, let's imagine AFC, Chiefs get the bye, obviously. Then Bills, Steelers, Texans, something like that.
Makes sense. Wild card round. Bills versus Broncos, maybe? Steelers against the Ravens? Texans and Chargers? It's anyone's guess, really.
Totally speculative, of course. Purely hypothetical, but fun to think about. Now, the NFC, that's a whole other ballgame.
Lions with the bye, I'd imagine. Then Eagles versus Commanders, Seahawks against the Packers, Falcons, Vikings. Oh, my head's spinning just thinking about it, right?
So many possibilities. It's exhilarating. And speaking of exhilarating, did you see that Broncos game last week? What a comeback.
Okay, so NFC, Lions with the bye, makes sense. Then Eagles versus Commanders, possible. Seahawks against the Packers, oh, that'd be a good one. Falcons, Vikings, man, so many possibilities.
Right? It's wild. And like you said, totally speculative. The standings could change dramatically in these last few weeks. Anything could happen.
Totally. I mean, look at the NFC West. Seattle's at 7-5, looking pretty good, but, they could still slip. And the Rams or Arizona, they could make a late run. It's not impossible.
True. 6-6, mathematically, they're still in it. Long shot, maybe, but stranger things have happened, right? Look at Denver in the AFC. 8-5 after that terrible start. What a turnaround.
Denver. Right. Totally forgot about them. They're, well, not quite contenders, but definitely in the conversation now. Every game is a must-win for them. Sudden death every Sunday.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting. The pressure, the drama, every game matters.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of pressure, those tiebreakers, head-to-head divisional records, common opponents, it's going to be a nightmare to sort out. A beautiful nightmare, mind you, but a nightmare nonetheless.
Sound effect. Short, sharp sound transition. Oh, tell me about it. It can get so complicated. So head-to-head is the primary tiebreaker, right? But then divisional records, common opponents. Ugh. So much to consider.
So we were talking about those hypothetical playoff brackets, right? And how crazy the standings are this year.
Yeah. Absolutely bonkers. Every game is a must-win for so many teams. It's insane. The pressure is on.
It is. I mean, look at Denver. 8-5 after that disastrous start. Who would have thought?
Right? Total comeback story. But they're not out of the woods yet. Every game is sudden death for them. Just like, well, a lot of teams, really.
Exactly. And those tiebreakers? Ugh, don't even get me started. Head-to-head divisional records, common opponents, it's a nightmare. A beautiful nightmare, but a nightmare nonetheless.
Oh, tell me about it. So head-to-head is the first tiebreaker, right? Then divisional records, then common opponents. It's complicated.
So complicated. And it could all come down to those tiebreakers. It's what makes the NFL so exciting, though, right? The unpredictability.
Totally. Anything can happen in these last few weeks. I mean, look at the NFC West. Seattle at 7-5. They could still slip. The Rams, Arizona, they could make a late run. You just never know.
Oh, yeah? 6-6? Mathematically, they're still in it. It's a long shot, sure. But stranger things have happened.
Exactly. It's the NFL. Anything is possible. And speaking of possibilities, those hypothetical playoff brackets, want to revisit those just for fun?
Sure. Okay, so AFC Chiefs get the bye, obviously. Then Bills, Steelers, Texans, something like that. Wild card round, Bills versus Broncos, Steelers versus Ravens, Texans versus Chargers. Pure speculation, of course.
Of course. Totally hypothetical, but fun to think about. Now, the NFC, that's where it gets really interesting.
Lions with the bye, I'd imagine. Then Eagles versus Commanders, Seahawks versus Packers, Falcons, Vikings. Man, my head is spinning.
So many possibilities. It's exhilarating. But like we've been saying, anything could happen in these last few weeks. The standings could change dramatically. Every game matters.
Every single game. And that's what makes it so exciting. The drama, the unpredictability, the sheer madness of it all.
Exactly. It's why we love the NFL, right? Sound effect. Short, sharp sound transition. And with that, folks, we've reached the end of another exciting episode of Trending Today. Make sure to tune in next week for more on the NFL playoff race, because, trust us, it's going to be a wild ride.
And don't forget to check out updated standings each week, because as we discussed, things can change dramatically very quickly in NFL's race to the playoffs. It's been a pleasure, everyone. Catch you all next time. Bye!